Wizards of the Coast has announced that there is going to be a change to the banning and restricted list on Monday. Oh, hey everyone, this is Nikachu Merfolk Master, and as usual, very typical in Wizards fashion, they have to make an announcement that there is going to be an announcement. As they said, if something is going to be banned, it's going to be on Mondays. But what they decided to do is they warned everyone way in advance that if there's going to be any changes, they'll make an announcement that there's going to be an announcement. Well, that announcement has come. They've hyped everybody out. They told you, mark your calendars, because next Monday, something's going to change. Something is going to happen. So a lot of people are asking me what my predictions are for this BNR announcement, and I predict something is going to get banned. That is my prediction. But the real question is, in what format? Because all the formats are, I wouldn't say they all have problems, but they all have problematic cards. Everyone's still uneasy about all the formats. At first people are like, well, screw Modern, I'm going to Pioneer. And now the Pioneer players are like, screw Pioneer, I'm going back to Modern. And then we got Legacy players way far down on the corner over there. They're like, screw Astrolabe and Veil of Summer and all this other crap. Get it out of here with Ren and 6, kick it out. So, you know what, there's a lot of potential cards on the chopping block going into this next BNR announcement. How far are they going to go? Well, I mean, if they're making a big deal out of this, if they, they could have just easily said, we're going to have a BNR announcement next Monday. But instead, they're like, mark your calendars, do something. This is going to be a party. This is something to celebrate. And I don't know if people are, and really mostly people are not excited about this. People are very nervous about their decks getting banned. I want to give a heads up right now though. Look, nobody's deck is getting banned. Very rarely that happens. Your deck is going to get weaker. Maybe you'll go down a tier. Maybe nothing's going to change at all. I feel so sorry for the Urza players who bought into Urza with the Mox Opals. Yeah, Mox Opal got banned, and then they were like, well, this deck can't work anymore. I'm selling out of the whole thing. So they sell out at a lower price. And Urza's still good. It still makes top 8s. It's still powerful. It didn't need Mox Opal to be good. The deck is good by itself. So, anyway, that's the thing. The decks are still good, and you even look at Hardened Scales. Hardened Scales has finally evolved in a completely new form that we've never seen before, but it now has competitive results. It's a new, Hardened Scales Collected Company Heliod package. So they still have the Hardened Scales package, but they're trying to maximize on Collected Company into Heliod so they can infinite combo you with Walking Ballista amongst the normal synergy of Hardened Scales. So they evolved. Like I said, you got to adapt and evolve with the times if you wanted those decks to continue going on. They're playing Nine Dorks basically instead of Mox Opal. So don't worry about your decks. They might have to take a new shape. They might go down a tier, but they will not be unplayable. They will not be unplayable. But now let's get on to the formats. Okay, what's on the chopping block here? So Pioneer, we've got, I think, really big candidates. Dig Through Time, Underworld Breach, and maybe a combo piece from Inverter. And it could be anything, all right? It could be Inverter of Truth, could be Jace Wielder of Mysteries, could be Thassa's Oracle. I think the largest candidate is Dig Through Time. Okay, they're going to do something in Pioneer. Pioneer used to be super diverse, and now it's like, okay, but it's not that beautiful, rich Pioneer format that people fell in love with from the start of Pioneer. So they're going to take action. So I think at least Dig Through Time is in a lot of trouble, but maybe they will cut down something more from Inverter. Maybe they'll take out one more combo piece like Jace Wielder of Mysteries, which is one of the older cards, and they'll leave Thassa's Oracle. I'm not sure. They could do anything in Pioneer, all right? I'm less confident of what is going to happen in Pioneer than the other formats. If you look at the Pioneer ban list, it's just bizarre. And maybe it's because, Wizards of the Coast just has way more information than we do. They just know exactly what's overperforming compared to our limited perception of the format. So they could do anything, but obviously they're going to do something is happening in Pioneer. 95%. I don't know for sure. I've learned that you can't be 100% about anything. So I think one of these cards. Underworld Breach, I think, is not going to go. The Storm deck clearly proved that it can be hated out, so that's not going to be a problematic card for the time being. They're going to let it loose for, until like it becomes too much of a problem or too many decks adopt the card. So for like one deck adopting Underworld Breach, not a big deal. Then we go, so I think those are the possibilities. I'm much more heavily weighted to believe that Dig Through Time is going to get banned. Now we go to Modern. Modern has a lot of interesting possibilities. I think the format is fine. I mean, I think Modern's super underrated right now. It's incredibly underrated. Maybe people don't like the interactions, the new interactions that happen in the format, and certainly there's been a legacy of Black-Green X players who, I mean, Jund was one of the cornerstones, foundations of Modern, and a lot of people are still attached to that sort of archetype, and they're hurting badly because of Veil of Summer. Veil of Summer is like really putting a hurt on their strategy. But on the other hand, we're seeing like new parts of the color pie come alive. You know, we're seeing Bant decks when we never saw Bant before, all right? Where was the Bant? Where was Bant for like the last 7 years in Modern, all right? It didn't exist. We got Bant now in forms of like Bant Control, and some Bant mid-range decks, but mostly Bant Control, Bant Stoneblade. So we've got new different angles of attack in Modern, maybe also because they're trying to leverage cards like Veil of Summer. But the cards that I think are most in trouble, we got Veil of Summer, we have Once Upon a Time pushing the Titan decks and the Eldrazi decks over the top. Eldrazi-tron is now adopting Veil of Summer. Once Upon a Time. That's not good news. So, and if you look at some of the Modern challenges, you know, like almost like half the results were Eldrazi-tron. That was ridiculous. That's absolutely nuts. Once Upon a Time might meet the end in this banning and restricted announcement. So anyway, that is a possibility. Now, a really good question is Arkham's Astrolabe. This is a card that's preventing Blood Moon from being good. This is, basically, Blood Moon decks can't exist while Arkham's Astrolabe exists in the format. On the other hand, some people might like Arkham's Astrolabe because it does get around Blood Moon. There's a lot of people who just hate Modern because they just hate Blood Moon. They can't play the deck they want to play because they always have to be in fear of Blood Moon. Blood Moon, Blood Moon, Blood Moon, Blood Moon. I hate moons! So, the Blood Moon... The only way to make Blood Moon come back is like, well, one of the ways is you have to ban Arkham's Astrolabe. But that card is now attached to a lot of dominant archetypes. Now, like, can Urza decks really survive with Arkham's Astrolabe? Probably, but that would hurt a lot more than, say, banning Mox Opal. Astrolabe is just an incredibly good mana fixer. Not to mention, it's being used in a lot of decks, not just the Urza decks, but also the Stoneblade decks. So this is a card that is also enabling things like Icefang Quaddle and stuff like that. So like, where would Icefang Quaddle be in this format without Arkham's Astrolabe? And a lot of decks have adopted this card, and it's a pretty neat card. You know, Flash Speed, Baleful Strix, very very interesting, unique card in Modern. So that one, I feel like if you ban something like Veil of Summer or Once Upon a Time, you don't affect the price of any archetypes. But if you ban Arkham's Astrolabe, you could. You literally could. And people are feeling the hurt of wallet fatigue in these formats. You know, I mean, even if your deck isn't banned, you might think that it is. You got to sell out of it before like the deck goes to zero. So, and then if you have to rebuy new cards, and even if the card is banned, you have to like go out and buy replacements, and maybe the replacements are now much more expensive. You know, if you're a Stoneblade player and you had to go to, and if you thought that you had to go to Bant Stoneblade, Bant Snow Stoneblade, then now you have to get the Icefang Quaddles and the Uros. So you know that can be expensive. Anyway, so every single time Modern changes, this is putting a lot of pressure on people's wallets. So banning something like Arkham's Astrolabe could shake Modern a lot. That's going to force people to like pay, you know, pony up more money in order to keep up with the format. Whereas I think the banning of something like Once Upon a Time or Veil of Summer won't be significant financially to the people in Modern. And it's a big deal because Modern's shaking up constantly. You know, between the power level of the cards and the bannings, like it's moving around all over the place. Every single week I'm playing like a different Merfolk deck. So a lot of big changes in Modern, and it puts financial stress on a lot of the players. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of stories about how often it's changing. You have to buy new cards to keep updating your deck to meet the demands of the metagame. And then, so what do I think is the most vulnerable for Modern? Once Upon a Time. Once Upon a Time is going to beat the end, I think, this BNR announcement. A lot of people are speculating things like Primeval Titan. I don't think so. I don't think Primeval Titan's biting the dust. I mean, anything can happen. I mean, I don't know. I don't know Ian Duke personally, so I don't know exactly what's going to happen. Some people think maybe Dryad of Elysian Grove is making the Titan deck a little bit too strong. They are able to adopt Valakut the Molten Pinnacle, and so right now the deck looks incredibly weird. I mean, it's crazy. It gets to use has this incredible tutoring package for whatever the hell it wants between Field of the Dead and Life Gain and Lightning Bolts in the form of Valakut. I mean, it's nuts. But I think the card that's making all these things the most consistent, finding things like Castle Garenbrig and the Titan and Dryad of Elysian Grove, is Once Upon a Time. Not to mention, it's also helping the Eldrazi Tron deck, which is already like one of the best decks in the format. So that's something. Those are things keeping that are most on my mind, which is not going to affect, I think, the financial people's finances in the format. And then there's Legacy. I can't really speak much to Legacy. I know there's like cards like Arkham's Astrolabe again, Veil of Summer again, and no, I think those two cards might be the most. Those two cards are a problem in the format. How much people care about it, I'm not sure. I can't make a big comment. Or even if Wizards are even going to do anything. Maybe the Wizards are just going to let the Legacy players do whatever they want. But now here's the weird thing. Wizards told us to mark our calendars. It's not exactly, we're not looking forward to cards getting banned. No one's really looking forward to cards getting banned. People are just stressing out over it. Oh my god, is my card going to get banned? Is my deck going to get banned? I spent all this money on this card just a week ago. Is it going to be gone? It's going to go to zero? My god, was I the pony to buy into this stupid deck? So it's really something people are fearing. People are not excited for banning and restricted announcements. So I think they're going to unban something. I think that's what they're trying to hype people up for. Something is going to get unbanned to compensate for the bans. Now what that is, I don't know, and which formats, I don't know. Pioneer, for example, has a lot of interesting cards on their ban list that more or less don't belong there, but they did it in the first place to force the diversity in the format. Maybe they can start taking some cards off that list. Probably it's not time for Smuggler's Copter. Probably it will do the same thing as it did before. Maybe if they're going to let Dimir Inverter around, they're going to unban Felidar Guardian. Maybe that's a possibility. Maybe Oath of Nisa can come off. I don't think the Leyline of Abundance is going to come off. Some people are saying, well, Leyline of Abundance is going to come off. No way, it's not coming off. That thing is very, very dangerous. In my opinion, it's very dangerous. Enough people are complaining enough about Mana Dorks as it is, like they're OP, and Leyline of Abundance just makes them super OP. Now for Modern, Modern has a lot of interesting cards on the ban list that could come off. Now, I've also helped sparked some reinvigorated arguments about Splinter Twin. And Splinter Twin is actually, I wouldn't say spiking hard online, but people are speculating on this thing. Now, either some people have inside information, or people are just normally speculating. That's, it happens. I think a lot of people have speculated on Splinter Twin many times in the past, because it's gone up to like $1 to $2 millions of times. So people are just preparing right now, again, on Splinter Twin. It potentially could come off. Some other cards that could come off. I mean, this sounds crazy, but, maybe some portion of Artifact lands, just to see what happens. Maybe Umezawa's Jite in order to accommodate new Stoneforge Mystic. A lot of people might say, hey, that you can't bring that card off the banned list. That thing's too dangerous. Look at what it does in Legacy. What does it do in Legacy? It doesn't do shit in Legacy, all right? And it won't do crap in Modern either, in my opinion. That might be a discussion for another time, but a lot of these cards might have the possibility of coming off. Like not only that, there's like so many better cards than say Green Sun Zenith. There's so many tutors. Like, who cares about Green Sun Zenith at this point? Sure, get the Dryad Arbor. Like, get the, what is that? The Dryad Arbor. Is it Dryad Arbor? Dryad Arbor? Yes. No. The land. The 1/1 Dryad land. I think it's Dryad Arbor. That thing could come off the ban list. Most definitely. There's a lot of interesting cards on the ban list that could come off. Some that looks really, really safe. I mean, if you want to, hold off on things like GT, that's possible. But I mean, we might start seeing some interesting unbans for Modern. Not to mention, well, I don't know if it's time for Birthing Pod, but it would be very interesting to see Twin and Birthing Pod back into the format again. Now with so much artifact hate, like not to mention like all the answers we have for Splinter Twin today, but there's so many more answers for Birthing Pod. It's also a really good question. Will anyone adopt Birthing Pod if that thing got unbanned? Like, the Counters Company deck is just much more fast and explosive. I think it would just end up splicing off into two different archetypes where you're all in combo and one is really grindy and potentially combo. But anyway, those are my thoughts. Those are some interesting things to think about going into this banning and restricted announcement. Let me know what you think. Are you scared? Are you scared for this BNR announcement? What are you sweating over? What cards in your deck, what archetypes are you playing? The Merfolk community, we're not scared. We don't care. We don't play with anything that is worthy of getting banned.